Everyone, Captain Amazing here, and today I'm with the wonderful UrzZz. So we're going to be doing between two reviews. So UrzZz, thank you for joining me. I just wanted
Thank you.
to give you a second to tell us a little about your journey. Now that you're back, and just whatever you want to say about your return to Star Wars Galaxy Heroes.
Well, my wife said I had to start making money again, so here I
Yeah,
am.
yeah.
No. There's just very little out there in terms of Star Wars, and then Star Wars has always been where my heart lies. It's just my favorite thing outside of my friends and my family. So, best IP ever, and we don't have a whole lot of selections when it comes to Star Wars games, and especially live service games that are continually updated. So. Here I am, back where it all started, and really enjoying it. Just having the best time.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I one thing I do regret is not playing the Battlefront games when they first came out, because I felt like that was some good Star Wars content for a while.
Yep.
Uh,
I've always said that Battlefront is sort of a love letter to Star Wars, and it's really unfortunate that EA marred its release with the whole loot box system they had in place, trying to just totally exploit people. Because if you think about it, back at the time, we had this game and we had Battlefront. Both are just cash cows, and Battlefront was obviously the more accessible one to the larger audiences. This was
yeah,
the mobile version, and they sort of marred it. Even though they made good on it, people didn't care after they screwed it up.
yeah, because like still looking at the content right now, like the ship battles, the gameplay and everything, it all looks super fun. I never got to experience any of it, and I do regret it. I don't know what I was doing when it was out, but I wasn't really aware of it until I started diving more into like what else is out there for Star Wars, because
Yeah,
I played their MMO, not the first one. Um,
KOTOR.
yeah, but and that one was fun. I like all MMOs when it first came out, it kind of lacked on content. And so like inevitability of like just getting tired of not having anything to do, and I just kind of moved on. Not
Yeah,
I
the
don't.
end game just didn't exist for that when
Mhm.
it first came out. You get to the end and you're just like, okay, what do I do now? And it's just like, well, I guess I'll go do all the other quest lines because it's familiar Bioware stuff, so it was good.
Yeah,
But
and
yeah, go
all
ahead.
right. So yeah, like tell us a little about just your journey, what brought you back here, and your
Yeah. I started in Galaxy of Heroes probably 2 months after release. I think it was in January of 2016. Started with the game, played it up until 2021. Sort of just really got. There was two things that really sort of made me exit the game. One, I sort of wanted to try myself out in variety and see if I could do, because for the longest time you feel like the game's holding you back, and like it's a mobile game and no one cares. But really, what you learn is that this game has like the most rock solid, best community ever that stand behind their content creators. And when you go do variety, you see how fleeting and how difficult it is to keep people's interest. So I sort of had it in my mind that this game was holding me back, but didn't, And then I realized how good it really was,
Mhm.
and how how awesome it is to see like live updates every week, new news, new things to cover, new things to talk about. It really is this breathing, living thing that I don't know. I think that if you're a content creator and you love the craft, this is something. This is the kind of game you hope for, and IP you're passionate about. Something that you can engage with, chat with, and interact with them live, and sort of get feedback on what you're doing. You can shoutcast it. There's just so many different ways you can approach content. You can be charismatic. You can go informative. Like this is like the perfect game if you love making content. So that's one of the big reasons why I came back. Is just tried variety, and this is where my heart is right here, and I'm just gonna go where my heart is and have fun.
Yeah, I get it, because when you look at the variety streamers that are very successful, like the top end is like unlimited, right? Like unlimited potential, but it's really hard to like build that viewer base just because there's
Mm-hmm.
a million other people who also see that potential. Where this game is pretty unique in its like core viewership, and like just how welcoming the entire community is, just for
Yes.
like it's crazy, like just the content creators, the viewers, like everyone around it's a really just a really great community. I really do love just the community in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, and I will say the community has gotten even better, at least content creator wise,
Hmm.
because it was like sort of dog eat dog world when I first covered the game. Like every CG would actively work to turn the content creators against each other, and that doesn't exist anymore. Everyone's
Yeah.
sort of had a kumbaya, and you get the guys on YouTube, you get the guys on Twitch, and the community on Twitch is very rock solid because it's a lot smaller than the YouTube people. But
Yeah.
on both sides, like I feel like I could reach out to any content creator that covers this game currently, and they would be open for a conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Like just really nice people, honestly. I don't and I think the biggest thing people realize is like, hey, there's enough like we don't have to fight for viewership. Like there's more than enough like love out there for everyone pretty much. Like
Yeah,
there's no
yeah,
there's and also like we all have different times that we stream too. Like people love on Grand Arena days, like people just love watching it. Like I live in, as you know, like I live in Japan. I originally got into content creation because there was two things I noticed. One, there's a hole as far as mid game players for content, and then two, no one streamed primetime Japan time. Like literally, like there's
yeah,
no one streaming at the time that I could stream, because it's like 1 or 2 in the morning U.S. time zone. Like so
yeah. I feel like I was like, man, if my hours changed or something changed, like I would love to stream like
mhm.
early in the morning because I feel like that's totally empty. Like you had Heinze in that slot for a little bit, but then he retired, so I think that's like just like wide open space for someone to come in. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, it is. Yeah. So, do you want to go ahead and start diving into just
Sure, sure.
just whatever you want to do? Just you can look at my account, whatever you want to discuss. Real quick, I will just give you a little because I did watch your segment with Agnards. So I am a return player as well. So I returned 2 years ago, and over the last 2 years, the game has evolved in income to where I think you may be surprised with how like because my account's only 3 years old, how much growth it is possible with even with very. I did spend a little, and we can talk about that later, but just not crazy amounts. I wouldn't consider myself a whale or anything, um, but over that time, like the growth is just like really really high. So if you want to go ahead and just dive into it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go first. Obviously, we have to go with the GK avatar here.
Mhm.
Um, feels a little basic, a little just average Star Warsy. If I'm going to be a little critical here, that's
Yeah.
really the best you could do with GK.
He's like my passion. He's my favorite Star Wars character.
Okay,
Like
fair.
Clone Wars, Jedi Master Kenobi, like General Kenobi, in during the Clone
Okay.
Wars phase is just my favorite Star Wars character. So that I get it. Yeah, it is very, but that's just like my favorite Star Wars,
I'm
evolution
gonna
of
come. I'm
character
gonna.
in a
I'm gonna
period.
come. I'm gonna come after you. So you
Yeah,
better be ready here.
no, that's
And
fine.
the better general tag. I
Yeah.
think we're just on point with the GK right there, right?
Hmm.
And if you really want an interesting conversation
Yeah,
piece, I'm sure you watched Obi-Wan series.
I did. I was very disappointed.
Tell me you
Not
didn't like
too.
that lightsaber
Oh,
fight at the
I
end.
liked the lights. I like I'm a very cheap date when it comes to entertainment. So I
Yeah.
can enjoy anything for what it is. I don't know, I just wanted more. I felt like there
It was
was
very underbaked. It
yeah,
was
there was a lot missing there in between, like from the end of where it ended and where episode like 3 and 4. There's so much content in there that they could have dived in, and I just felt like I really didn't need that series, or I didn't learn anything that was like so crazy, or it just could have been a lot
yeah.
better.
Yeah, the thing for that for me that series was okay. The lightsaber fights are fun. Anytime Anakin and Obi-Wan on screen together, pretty great. The speech at the end with Leia was really good, and that's basically it.
Yeah,
Like everything else, and I liked Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. That
yeah.
was basically it. But the hot take here is: was Obi-Wan the better Jedi all along? Since I think he was like, you could say he threw the fight in
Uh-huh.
Episode 4,
Yeah.
but you could say he beat him. I mean, he lost one fight in this, and he beat him twice. So
Yeah, in his
I
prime. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. He had better control of the force. Interesting conversational piece.
Hmm.
So I just said that because you have the better general tag.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty funny because sometimes I'll go against people and they'll just have like the general tag. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So it's
I
like,
didn't even know.
okay.
See, I didn't even know that was another tag. So
Yeah.
now that makes a lot more
Yeah.
sense.
So now it's
Um,
like,
See,
yeah.
then your guild here, Scarberia.
Scarberia.
Scarberia. Okay,
Hmm.
thank you very much. Now tell me a little bit about Scarberia. What are their core values?
So they're actually a very good guild. So I generally look for guilds that punch up. We're about like
Okay.
540 million GP. And they actually reached out to me because I was in a really great guild before them as well. Really difficult for me to leave them, but they were hyper focused on TW. And while I enjoy TW, there was two things that kind of like annoyed me about that. Well, I guess three, but the first one was I couldn't stream, and when I did my roster reviews like Sunday mornings, for me, which is like TW time in the US, like Saturdays,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
so it's like okay, I have to like kind of like hide my screen, do my attacks if they're like calling me to attack, and then well, you can hear the noises, so it's like you
Yeah.
can kind
Yep.
of guess what's happening. But they were like, hey,
Yeah.
you absolutely can't stream anything TW related, and that was kind of like an issue for me. And two,
Yeah.
they were like really micromanagey to the point where they're like, okay, if you want to use a GL or GL ship, you have to ask permission and state who you're going to attack. And then if you have a loss, you have to, of course, like report the loss with intel and everything like that, which is just, it was a little too much for me with my schedule. Yeah. So I was like, it was too much for what I wanted because while I enjoyed TW, I just wanted a more relaxed TW environment. Like, hey, tell me what the counters are, but you don't have to hold my hand. I got my big boy pants on. I can, I can handle it. So, and while I love that guild, love the people, had some really great friends in there. I just felt like it was time to go. So I moved. Scarberia actually reached out to me, one of my viewers, saying like, "Hey, long shot, but here's my guild." The funny thing was, I actually applied to them before I was a content creator, and they denied me. So they said no. So then they reached out to me, and they were like, "Hey, we want you to join our guild." And that actually, I denied them. I was like, no, I'm happy where I'm at. So the timing just had to be right. It was
Yeah.
like a love little triangle
Yeah.
thing. So it ended up working out in the end because about a month later, like another TW went by, and I was like, okay, I'm ready to just go focus on some new things. So I moved to them, and I really have loved it. They get 39 stars in TB. They have an excellent TW win rate. They get Zepho, Mandalore, like overall, and it's a more. It's not. They're not casual because they do try. They are a bunch of tryhards, but their management style is more relaxed, which I can appreciate.
Yeah, that's sort of crazy. I couldn't imagine like having to check with someone before using a GL. That just seems like I mean, I
Fun.
guess if you're in a gauntlet guild that is just focused on TW, then I guess then maybe you have to be like that. But
Well, I'll say
that's not for me.
their win rate was insane. It was something like in the 96 percentile or something, like 96% win rate. So they punched up really, really hard. And so they're very good at what they do. It's not I'm not so in love with the game mode that I wanted to like hard focus only on that.
Yeah,
If
it makes sense. Okay, so let's go. You want to do ships first, or do you want to
Yeah,
do?
whatever you take. I'm in the passenger seat, so you take me for
Okay,
a
okay.
ride.
So Kyber 3, is
Uh-huh.
that where you hang out usually, or do you move up and
Normally,
down
normally
servers?
Kyber 2. This 3v3. I been really busy, so I did not even get to stream it, and I just took two L's and the squish, and that dropped me to like low Kyber 3, just like literally in 4
Yeah.
days, 5 days. So normally I'm Kyber 2, like the.
Okay. Okay. Very good. All right, we'll start with inventory here. And what I like to do when I used to do roster reviews is just
Mhm.
invert this
Yep.
and just check out what what has been ignored?
Yep.
And I see Jawas here now. I know Jawas they are
Uh-huh.
not a huge good investment.
I'm
I really feel like
I'm
what are your
hoping
take on Jawas?
I'm hoping for a Jawa bundle. I'm hoping CG will sell them to me for like $10, $20 or something. And
Okay, but even then, I think the bundle's not enough. I think they would have to give them some sort of way of recovering banners or something
so
because I feel like it's just like not worth it to level them up if you can't reliably use them to counter and get full banners.
I'll tell you how they can monetize these Jawas, right? Because at the end of the day, they want to make money. They need to shoehorn them into a raid, and then they need to give them such crazy callouts that they can actually like do well in that raid, and then sell us the bundle, and people will buy it. And
Right,
that,
like the Naboo raid pack,
yeah,
like with the Jedi. So I
yeah,
got that. I run that team and I get, 1.3 million and it's like 1.2 million, whatever the max is, 1.3. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
for a bunch of
Right.
junk, right? So
Yeah, for a bunch of junk. And, I feel like that was a super cheap bundle. I think it was
yeah.
like 20, $25, something like that. And someone even gifted it to me from my community. Big shout out to Luis. But like I run that team, I use it all the time for raid. It helps me feel like I'm contributing, and it was just a one-time
hmm
purchase.
And they even like doubled down with Datacrons. So with the Plocron and ETH Gothcron, it was like, and it's stuff like that that makes people want to buy that bundle. Because if you didn't buy it, you didn't have like Plo or ETH Koth at Relics, then this raid comes out and you're literally not able to participate. And then
Hmm.
these Datacrons come out and they're like elevating trash Jedi to like S tier teams. That's what makes people say like, okay, the next one I'm gonna buy. So,
Yeah, right. That makes sense.
but I
The
don't.
next thing, go
Yes,
ahead.
I don't hate the Jawas. I think they're fun to use against like Geos or something. I wish I, would have played consistently a long time ago to where I could have some more of these like niche things. But just nowadays, even though I could farm them very easily and finish them off within like 2 weeks, there's just like literally no reason to for me to
Yeah,
have them.
I think that the best thing they could do is probably like a TW Ami on like Nebit or something, where you're like, you somehow can revive like a dead Jawa.
Yeah,
Like, like a stacks of
like
maybe a third ability to somebody that revives like a dead Jawa.
yeah,
Like
like
engineer gets it
the
or something.
yeah, like the Geo Omicron, for
Yeah.
where it just elevated that team to relevance, especially for
Yeah,
new
I'm not.
players. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just frustrating because I have them relict,
hmm
and it's like, okay, like I can use them in TW, but I know I'm going to lose one or two of them, and that's going to screw up the score. So
Yeah.
I don't love that. I don't love that. I think they need to do stuff and then to fix that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Um, and the other thing that I'm noticing here, and this is a question,
hmm
not really an indictment, but more of a question, and like
Yeah.
Omega sitting there, level 50, maxed
hmm
out on stars. What is the reasoning why people don't run Omega with Bad Batch?
So, well, I don't have Bad Batch.
Okay, well that's
Like,
I just assumed.
yeah, no, I don't have Lord Vader. So people don't run Omega is because she's skippable. She costs what, like 400 Kyber attack. She is good. Like, you do want her if you have her Omicron. She's excellent in TB. You can run waves. That's the best way to get the Relic 7 Clone Trooper Zepho mission for is the Bad Batch with Omega. The Omega Omicron is like a guaranteed win for that. But there's cheaper ways to do it, because if you have Rex lead with the 501st and a Captain Rex, then you can also run that event pretty reliably. And most of those are required at that relic anyways, where Bad Batch is only required at like relic 5, and then Omega isn't needed anywhere else. So people just skip her because you can fit in you can fit in Shock, you can fit in Commander Cody, and it's they do the job, and that's the thing. Same thing with like
Okay,
Visas Mar. Why I don't
I
have
use shock. Yeah, I use shock.
yeah
Yeah.
why I don't have like Visas Mar is because while she's great, there's other things that can just like fit the bill, and it's like a 95% solution to just skip, even though she's only like 100 Chirotech. I just haven't gotten around to it, but just with how much resources and a lot of like, as a return player, you have to make those decisions of like, is it absolutely necessary to farm this thing? And things like Visas, Omega, Quira, like all those things down there, even Scarif Rebel Pathfinder, Emphas Nest, you
Yeah,
know,
that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going next.
yeah, so all those things, while they're good and I would love to have them, and they're still relatively cheap, like if you buy a bunch of cheap things, like you get a big bill. So it's
Yeah,
I'm yeah, it's just even like
and
Ben.
you must have missed the era of Nest. Then you must have been out of the game
Yeah,
when
I
that
well,
was.
I played in like 2018 to just when SLKR came out is when the time I played. So I was there for like Jedi Knight Revan and Gas and stuff. But I quit after they announced SLKR because I was at the time I had like two relics and it took me literally forever to farm those two relics. And then
Yeah,
I saw SLKR's requirements and Ray's requirements, and I'm like, I'm never going to be able to afford these. Like, it's just, this is no longer a game that's accessible for the free to play. And then I just kind of like moved on with my life. So
yeah. I'm shocked about to not see Nest up there because man,
she was
she was
good.
something special. She was something special back in her day.
She's still,
And even she's still got utility, and they gave her a cron a
hmm
while ago. But yeah, she's something special, man. She still just makes my heart just hum a little bit whenever I see her because I'm like, oh man, she was like the original solo queen, like knocking down bears, knocking down like geos. Like you could do so many stuff with her and Kira.
hmm
Like it was cool.
she is good. And that's why I like I missed the Tuscan wave. I would have loved to have Tuscans. There's a lot of these things that if you miss out certain raids or you miss out certain periods of the game, that was like your opportunity to farm those things.
Yes,
And
makes
I
sense.
yeah, I just missed them. And there's a lot of things I would still love to farm, but like got to prioritize somewhere.
Yeah. And the next thing I'm seeing here is this is wild right here.
Gas.
What is
So,
happening with
so
this?
I have if anyone if you people who watch me and know me know I have very strong feelings about the gas farm. And while and hear me out, right? So there before Queen Amidala came to the game, gas really didn't have a place because he's pretty much costs the same as a GL to unlock. If you look at like the two phases, everything you need, and then to gear out his team, it's pretty much like 8 Zetas and then a lot of material and time to unlock gas, right? Like at any point I could have invested into gas, but I chose not to because one, he doesn't give you income. So if you get gas, and if you see accounts that go for like gas and then Lord Vader, they have very small amounts of GP compared to the time they have played, because once you finish those farms, it doesn't give you more resources. Like you're pretty much at almost exactly the same place you were before you started them as far as income. So you're not getting any assault battles, you're not getting any special events, you're not getting more that makes your next farm faster. And but they're incredibly expensive. So by the time you have them done, you could have played a year and you're not getting good like fleet placement, you're not getting assault battles, you're not getting anything. Where if someone would have gone something like an executor into a Jedi Knight Luke into a Jabba farm, they would blow their income away, and every single step of that farm is giving them like crystals, assault battles, smugglers run too, and then their account overall is just a lot more well-rounded and just better income wise than something like gas. So I'm a firm believer that you farm gas when you farm Lord Vader or GL Ahsoka, and GL Ahsoka is my next farm after I finish Bo-Katan Mandalore, and so I just haven't gotten around to it just because he's so prohibitively expensive, and I'm still farming things that is giving me income compared to like assault battles and things of that nature, fleets and things that are just good. And just like also for Grand Arena, like Gas before Queen Amidala came, he wasn't great on defense because he gets beat super cheap. In threes, he like Wampa can beat him. In fives, CLS can beat him unless you put in Captain Rex, which is like breaks up the Phoenix team. So, and on offense, while he can beat some things and he's a great cleanup on GLs, it's not clean banners. So, and I'm an efficiency player. So if I take him on offense, I'm losing banners, and if I leave him on defense, he just gets beat really cheaply. So it's like he didn't have a place until now we have Queen Amidala, and he beats Queen Amidala, which is like a good place for him to be.
I got it. That makes sense. I would say that's pretty much a hot take. Because
Yeah.
I would think most people would think he's a must have. But if you're
Yeah.
saying the resources don't warrant like the payoff doesn't warrant the resources and the time, then I mean he is 4 Zetas. He's pretty steep.
Well, yeah,
You,
and he needs his team. It's not like you can.
yeah,
He is a good Galactic Republic Jedi and just a good Jedi. So you can't put him like I could put him with JMK or JML or Jedi Knight Revan or Jedi Knight Luke or even Cal Kestis or something. But I just don't see a realm of where he's like absolutely necessary. And I'll have him soon, like in a few months or something. I'll have him up and running, but because I'm gonna finish my Bo-Katan Mandalore, go for GL Ahsoka, and then I'll go for Lord Vader, and then his team will be fully fleshed out by then.
okay, nice. I mean, it sounds like a. I love like the roadmap here. Got it pinned down.
Well, I did one of the things I did that was a little unique to content creation was I made kind of like a. Are you familiar with like Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Have you ever studied like
Yeah,
psychology or
like
business?
the food, shelter, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, like the
enlightenment.
food pair triangle of like you have to satisfy your lower needs to meet your like higher end needs.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing as far as like building an account of like these are the needs that your account has to have, and then at the very top is like a passion project. And my passion project just was JMK. And it took me a long time to get there, but I like satisfied guild income, then fleet income with crystals, then assault battles, first GL ship, and then from there a kind of like account specialization of whether you're focused on more of like TWTB, GAC, or whatever it is that interests you in the game. At the very top is like your passion projects of like some people it's like Lord Vader or Gas is a big passion project for people. So I
Next thing, yeah, that makes sense. So JMK is your passion project. These
mhm.
guys are Relic 9, Padawan, Obi-Wan, and Qui, Master Qui. I
Yep.
assume that's because Quad May requires Relic 9. Is that accurate?
No, it's for their assault battle. Their assault battle is
Oh, it's
like really, really generous, and they generate Relic 9 material. So the income that you can get for that, because if you
Droid
refresh
Brain.
it,
Okay.
yeah, which I like Relic 9s aren't an issue for me, like especially with how successful my TW guild is. So I
Mhm.
get about a Relic 9's worth of droid brains every month. But it's just my account philosophy is just if I farmed other things, are they going to give me as much income as farming something else? And at the time, getting them to Relic 9 with the credits and the droid brains and signal data and all that stuff is just that's the best thing I thought I could do. And I think it's worth it.
Now I'm looking at this here. Nothing's like. I mean, this all looks by the book. Like you're an efficiency guy.
Hmm.
You can very much see that.
Yeah, the
Um,
R9 Star Killer is a little out of place because if you notice, I relic 7 everyone as like unless they're a requirement, even my GLs except for JML, just because he needs relic 9. But Star Killer was a platoon, so I did that for the guild.
oh, okay. What team player?
What's
Um, I'm just continuing to look here.
hmm
Princess Nisa, that's a requirement
Yeah, for Leia.
for Leia. Okay. And yeah, this all looks. What is your favorite team to play? I mean, you got pretty much all the goods here. If you
So
had to pick one team, let's go threes and let's go fives. Like, what is your favorite team that you loved controlling?
uh so in fives, mm, I would say it really does depend. Like in Grand Arena, it's all counters, right? So in
Mm,
lately it was Queen Amidala because if it was Leia with her tank cron, especially in like threes or something, like not a lot can beat that, because she rammed health and protection, and she was just like a menace. But in like 3 turns, Queen Amidala with the support cron, like Padawan Obi-Wan just one shot the team, like just completely one shot it. Was the easy, like the quickest little 20-second battle, and that was like the best defense for like 4 months pretty much. So
Really?
lately, yeah, lately that Queen Amidala on offense was like really, really fun in threes. In fives, I do like JMK, especially right now with like Plocron. And JMK has been kind of like the staple for power uh, since he came out, right? And got the cat. And everything that has pretty much came out after that, that's supposed to be like like comparable or better than him, has to have call outs against his kit just because like he's so strong. So that's where like all these things have like instant defeat immunity and all these other things, is because JMK's team is just like, even though it is kind of older now, it's just like such a great team. And while something like Leia and Jabba and SOKR and all that stuff is fun, I would say like the JMK fives mechanic of like Galactic Republic mixed with it, just as long as you have Cat in there, is just a really fun team because there's like tons of assists and they're just like
Yeah.
a strong tier.
So that was like when I first came back to the game. All I had was JML, and we hit. I was like, well, basically the arena is just like a lot of Jedi Master Kenobi,
Yeah.
and my community helped me learn the counter, get my
Hmm.
Luke up to like R9, my
Yeah.
JML to up to R9, and then like learn the counter and the nuances between all the different varieties of it. And Padme Crown was a thing when that was going off, and
Hmm.
um, so I mean I can do the counter against JMK, but man, it was a slugfest until I got I got everything in place to get it done.
Yeah.
But
That's why.
yeah, he was tough.
That's why I like when I first hit Kyber, like my first JMK counter was Inquisitors with Riva, and that was really fun. Of course, it's like it's all Datacron dependent, and with the last few crons with Plocron and then the Padme cron, it's not really possible, but really fun team as well.
Very cool. All right, let's jump over to ships because I don't want to dominate the
Hmm.
conversation. Um, all I can tell you is I am so jealous of your Leviathan.
I have like all the ships, so
So this is what you'll see in my account. Like I've got glaring holes here, and
hmm.
this is basically what my entire focus is on,
Well,
is shoring up my ships.
if it makes you feel better, I feel like we're all in a dumpster fire with the fleet meta right now. So, like, you're probably having issues with Leviathan. I'm having issues with Leviathan. Like, all the counters are gone. The off meta. I do think CG's just trying to like shore up all the off meta counters to usher in the next era of like whatever ships meta is supposed to be. So I think we're
I
just
mean,
in a
like
weird.
what ship could they put in there? Like
I don't know
I
what
mean, who
they're going, because people have been talking
nihilist? Could you?
about. Well, I do think we're probably going to get at this point. I don't even know because they've taken their playbook and thrown it out, but probably a light side one. The trench still needs a ship.
Oh yeah,
People are thinking maybe gas getting a ship, and
oh
then
yeah. He was commander.
also
Yeah.
yeah, also looking at like a Mandalorian ship possibly, like, and that's why they brought in Punishing One, is to take Razor Crest out of there and then start building like a Mandalorian type of fleet. So that's
Oh,
the three.
that would make sense. You nailed it right there. It's going to be
Yeah.
that.
So I've been hearing a few different things. So I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I think the next conquest character will probably be a ship, and that'll give us some insight on whatever the next fleet will be.
I mean, this is beautiful, dude. This is just gorgeous.
Yeah, I did
I,
focus on fleets for a very long time. I like I because that's how I got.
Crystal income, man. You have to.
Yeah, because I had I when I returned, I had 2 relics because that's when I quit in 2022, and then I got SOKR because that was like the at the time, like everyone farms SOKR as their first GL, and then I went Executor straight into Leviathan, and that was like a ton of crystals, and luckily I was able to get first with Executor, and then I maintained it with Leviathan. And probably the best investment I could have done at that time was going for Leviathan whenever it was launched. So and
Yeah, I could tell you from like so punishing one was not a galactic chase.
no, I was hoping it was going to be. I was even holding back my because I was farming Leia ultimate tickets at that time, and I was like, I slow farmed the crap out of her, and they took a minute to finally tell us what it was, and then it ended up being a marquee, and I was like, okay, now I can just unlock her
So
ultimate.
I can tell you as a returning player who missed on basically all the galactic chases. Like I
Yeah.
think I was around for one galactic chase. I think it was Emperor's Shuttle. That
Uh
was
huh.
the last one. That was the first one of the first galactic chases I want to say. And I was around for that, and then I missed everything in between. So I've had to farm up like Marauder here. I've had to
Yeah.
farm up Marauder from ground zero, and this is like the slowest. Like I've been back in the game since end of August, and I'm like at like 50 shards out of 100. I'm not even done on this thing, and
Yeah.
I'm refreshing it twice a day.
Yeah, it sucks because if it would have been like if they wouldn't have made these recent changes with punishing one and then buffing Leviathan, like your Marauder Galactic Republic fleet would have been top. Like you could have easily climbed to first every day with that, and it would have lasted pretty much forever because it had the possibility of beating Leviathans. It like dominated Executors. It could beat Profundities. It was like a really great off meta ship to kind of like hang in there and allow it would have given you the like the bandwidth to farm whatever you wanted because that fleet crystal income still would have been accessible.
Yeah.
And they just kind of like shut that off. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is going to be a major topic of conversation. Let's go ahead and switch over to my account so
Okay.
you can
All right. So we have Urzatron with the Hall's Chromium Cowboys. So I did see in a recent commercial for the Hall Alliance. You want to talk a little about that real quick?
Sure. I have since coming back to the game. It's just a lot of the people that have stuck with me over the years, even when I wasn't playing Galaxy Heroes,
Mhm.
and it was a way of sort of rewarding that community is for all of us to play together. So while I never had any interest, I've run a guild once before. I've that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, a lot of drama, a lot of egos, a lot of babysitting. I never wanted to run a guild, but I found the right guys to run guilds for me. So
Uh-huh.
we have three guilds in our alliance: the Chromium Cowboys, which I'm a part of. You can tell by the hat. The
Yep.
Aurorium Acolytes and the Bronzium Bandits. The Bronzium Bandits being a starter guild of new
Okay.
players, and then we're just like focus casual, focus fun type of guild. Not too serious, but not
Yeah.
still care and play the game.
Okay. Yeah, more power to you. I like those who run guilds. I have so much respect for them. That is like pretty much a second job. It's insane the level of like commitment and time and effort it comes just to make a guild run pretty smoothly. So,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
all right. So 7.1 million GP, a little bigger than I thought it was actually, with your account. I didn't exactly know how big your account was, but that's not bad. Right? 4.7 in characters, 2.4 in ships with 20,000 galactic war battles. So I think really a testament of the because that's what close to 5 years time played.
Is
Yeah,
that
yeah, it's like four and some change, close 4, 7, 8 months or something. Yeah, so that's a decent amount of time played right there. Yeah. Which I think is a just a testament of like you played when the game had pretty much like nothing, right? There's
no
it all
quality of
it
life?
it
No
all looked
quality of life
it all looked like
exists.
this and even worse. Um, yeah, so I totally get it. And like I told you before, I'm like a return player, and the last 2 years, the amount of progress that we had was like, and funny enough, I almost quit again when they changed raids because I had finally like mastered raids, right? Like I was we were getting good income. I was like always getting like for top 5 for all the raids and everything. So I had like good raid income, and then they're like we're now changing everything. And I was like,
Oh.
CG, what are you doing? And they really bungled the first new raid iteration. Like it was like horrible. The rewards were like too top heavy, so it wasn't really accessible to guilds that were successful. And we looked at like the overall income of what we were getting compared to before, and it was nowhere comparable. And then they
Yeah.
like front loaded a lot of those rewards, and especially with like Mark 1 and Mark 2. And now it's like all gravy, right? Like it's all it's revolutionized the zero to relic uh gear grind to where it's like pretty much free except for Kyrotex. So I'm glad I stuck around because I was very upset.
Yeah.
um yeah. Okay. So I totally shit on your farming plan inadvertently earlier.
You did. I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man.
Yeah. 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 No, I did. I'm sorry, but
No. It just happened to be that way. It
yeah.
just happened to be that way because I was around when Gas came out. He was the new thing, and you had
Yeah.
to chase him.
Yeah. And then
And
Lord
then
Vader.
Lord Vader. I had a guy in my community that bought me Bad Batch.
Uh huh.
Like he bought him for me. So
Yeah.
I like had all those requirements. I had like the Tuscan. I had like most of the stuff sort
Yeah.
of ready for that already. So that was
Yeah.
just like naturally where I went.
That's the obvious choice right there.
And
But
I
no,
will say, like a lot of people bag on Lord Vader. I use him in Conquest, and he does work.
I love Lord Vader. I don't believe in like the Lord failure. Don't get me wrong. I've seen Lord Vader like the two GLs I don't have, Lord Vader and C. I've seen those two from other like creators fail all the time, right? Like things that should be absolute dunks, they just lose. And they're just like, oh, like it happened again. And I could
Yep.
see where a lot of people would be like very disappointed with their investment of Lord Vader and C, because especially Lord Vader is so crazy expensive, right? Like
Yeah,
he's
he was 750 cryo, I think,
yeah, he
something like
was
that.
he was the he's the he was the most expensive GL. Now GL Ahsoka
Is going
takes
to be
that.
that.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
she by a long shot. But like I totally get why people would be disappointed, but I've seen Lord Vaders that are, it depends on like if you have low relics, if you don't give him like a decent team, then yeah, he's not going to perform like at that top end. But if you give him like a good team, if you give him the relics, then he's going to perform just as well as the other S tier like Leia, Jabba, JMK type of
Yeah.
GLs. So yeah, I do think it's, has been treated a little unfairly
I always
for
thought he was a cool character in the lore. Like, I mean, I not to be like totally just numbers and analytics. Like, he's always been a cool character that I thought like, oh, that'd be so cool if we got him like dark side Anakin. If we ever got that,
yeah.
and then we got it.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best, but we got it.
Yeah, I do think with this kit, he'll like a lot of these kits that are pretty universal, like Ray, SLKR, Lord Vader. I do think they and he always has a good Datacron. Like every single Datacron set, there's always been
Oh yeah.
something that elevates Lord Vader to relevance uh, in every single set. So he's always relevant. He's not like,
He had like a protection one, I want to say.
yeah, that
Like,
one.
yeah, that I got that. That stuffed me. That was a blockade for me in Grand Arena.
That one's kind of a trap because where's he at? Boba Fett over here. He loves that one. you,
Yeah, I don't.
you,
Yeah, I did. I had my Boba Fett on defense. That everyone's
yeah,
like, oh, bring Boba, bring Boba,
yeah.
and
But
that was like, yeah,
usually people have theirs because of Executor. They have them at Relic 8,
yeah,
and like as long as you just stack those protection ups, and then he just like one shots Lord Vader. It is a thing of beauty if you can get it to work.
yeah,
But other than that, you need like a dispel to kind of like get through him. But Wampa
yeah.
too. Wampa loved that protection up one. Oh, it's so good. Um, but I do see Balin's skull here, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that was like the big project. We had a guy
Uh-huh.
come back. When I came back, someone's like, I'm gonna buy you Shin, but you have to promise me you're gonna go get Balin. And I was like,
Mhm.
okay.
This hurts my soul. This team's so good, and
Oh,
it's three Zetas or something, right? For the whole team for
yeah.
two and one or something,
Yeah.
and you have everything. You
Well, I
just
just got the bundle. I just got the pack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is because these guys are good. Like they can be GLs on offense if you give them
Yeah,
their
yeah, I gotta get the rested on there, but they're on defense for me right now in
really.
threes.
Is
Yeah,
aren't a lot of these like Omegas?
yeah, all that's Omega. I want to
Yeah.
say, and then
You're,
I think the Amis are like TW related.
you're Omega like homeless right now or something that you can't give this relic great mothers their
I'll get it.
like their Omegas.
No, they should have the Omegas. It should be
Oh, okay.
maxed
Oh,
out.
so
Isn't
it's not.
it?
I don't know, but I thought these were like
Yeah.
some of them were Omegas, right? Are they Omicrons or?
There's two Omicrons there.
Okay, so two Zetas, two Omicrons is what these are.
Yeah, I
Okay,
probably don't have the Zetas. I don't know.
yeah, the two Zetas. That would make sense. Yeah, but this is so like this is such power because you're
The
like
power of money, the
yeah
power of whaling and crystals, and the best
yeah
community ever.
because you're trying to dunk on my gas over there, but you got like true power. Like these are GL destroyers right here.
Well, I'm gonna need them. I'm
Yeah.
gonna need them.
Okay, and then did you have to farm this or no? This was given to you, right?
You just you get it. You get it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so you at least you got 170 or one offense roll here. That's pretty good.
Yeah. He. I'm gonna use him tonight when I do my GFC off stream, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna hopefully knock some stuff down with him.
Yeah, your Datacron usage is a little
Well, it's gone up. It's gone up.
little
I had one,
lackluster. Uh-huh.
and then I had another one,
Yeah.
and now I have this many. So
Yeah.
we're growing. It's baby steps.
Well,
I was
cuz
not around
the
for Datacrons.
yeah, cuz you like they're simmable, you know what I mean? So you just go in there
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
just like you just hit that sim button. They just
I'm
come
learning.
out.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
Slow learning.
Slow and steady, yeah. So I'll say this, like, as much as I hate Datacrons and I don't enjoy the Datacron experience right now, especially as we like transition because it's 4 months and you get so used to the meta, and then all the counters that just kind of like get thrown out the window. And even with like insights and stuff, as we were in that first week, we don't know anything. Like we don't have the insights, so
Yeah,
like there's no
it's kind of the
data.
Wild West.
Yeah, so you just kind of have to just get dunked on, and then you're just like, okay, so this is what I need to do on the second week. But I do think, because where are you, Bronzium? Yeah, Bronzium.
Bronzium 1. I just
On
got moved up.
yeah, what's the next one? Chromium.
Chromium.
Yeah, so the higher you go, the more datacrons that you face. And there's just datacrons that like there are counters to everything, but those counters also involve like datacrons, right? So you have to like pair even where you are like with 2GLs, Gas, Bale and Skull, Great Mothers, you have the power here to like punch up into Kyber except for your fleets.
Yeesh.
That's like but it's hard, right? Like I get it because I cheesed my way into Kyber with because I had the Leviathan, so I put the Leviathan on defense with the Executor, and then I just brought everything else on offense, like literally trash defense, and then I would just have to like full clear to them not crashing on my Leviathan. But
Yeah,
um
and then
yeah.
efficiency, I'm sure. Yeah.
And then, but with you have like, and the problem with having like a ground side heavy account is a lot of players farm ground side, right? So you're going against like 4, 5 GL deficiencies, and it's hard to unless the only way to do that is through datacrons. And because I've seen accounts similar to your size facing me in like Kyber 2, maybe like 8 million
Really?
GP. Yeah. The difference is they have like insane datacrons. I lost this round to like a 8.8 million GP account because their datacrons were just like insane, and there's no data, so I just had to like try things out, and I lost. Like I just couldn't. By the time I figured out, okay, this counters that and that counters this, like I just didn't have enough to get through all their defenses, and like I lost. So yeah, but your account, yeah. So that's like the way. There's two ways, right? Like fleet defense or ground defense. But like with ground defense, there's like it's datacron dependent. Yeah, so it really is a difficult meta because especially with the squish nowadays, like it's affecting all levels like chromium, erodium, lower
Hmm.
kybers, even like Xerath is in kyber 2 or something right now. Like players that have
Yeah.
historically been like the very top of the game are just like getting pushed down and down and down.
Do we know
Um
how many active players like are in Kyber one? Like, I mean, they're all active, but
last
we know
Last I saw, it was
how.
like
What?
1,000 or something. I don't know
Okay.
if that like got squished even more, because it, inevitably gets smaller. But I think that was last month was like 1,000 or close to 1,000.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and I can tell you that before when I was hanging out like I was like very close to Kyber 1 when the squish started, and then I got pushed to like the bottom of Kyber 2, and I've been hanging out in there for like I don't know 4 months or something, but it's not the accounts are the same. They all have everything. Like they all have all the GLs. They all have the GL ships. The difference is like the quality of player now. So the quality of player I was facing that had everything was like they still weren't super great, right? Like they weren't like super efficient. Their defenses weren't like amazing, and they could still bring off meta counters on offense. And now the players I'm facing right now, they're just really good players. Like they
Yeah.
have everything and they know exactly what they're doing. And that's a huge difference. And I think as everyone keeps getting pushed down, it's just a really competitive game mode now. But I
I
did.
still have fun with it. I still have fun with it. Grand Arena, back when I, first few years, Grand Arena was like the golden age, in my opinion. But I don't think that, maybe it's going to get tougher for me as I move up in the
Mhm.
ranks. But as just like a returning player who is just like, this is all foreign with the datacrons, with a
Mhm.
lot of these kits, like learning it, I'm having a blast. I still love Grand Arena. I still think it's far and away their bread and butter.
So I was watching your last Grand Arena this morning, just kind of like I saw your return one, and then I watched this last one. So you did
Mhm.
do a counter that I thought was like hilarious. I've never seen it before, and it was like Rex Vesus Gamorrean Guard. I
That's an
was like,
old meme
yeah,
team we have.
I
Yeah.
was like, what is? And it worked, and it worked. I was like, what
Hey,
is?
it was a little
Yeah,
close. We lost
yeah.
Rex usually.
Yeah, and I was like, "What is this?" And you had a really funny intro.
Yeah, it's
So
old
yeah,
school, long time
yeah.
ago.
So and I do because I remember when I was like climbing up in like the lower because I didn't start streaming until actually I was like Kyber 4 or something is when a year it'll be a year in December, but that's when I started streaming was when I hit Kyber. And I remember thinking like there's gonna be a point where I start facing like just ridiculous accounts, like it's accounts that just like are all datacron, all top of the meta. Because for a long time in like Kyber 3, 4, like people still don't heavily, or they bring all their good datacrons for offense, and their defense is still just it's still GLs, but they're not like the most pristine datacrons with like re-rolled abilities and everything like that. And now that I have found that like, man, I miss those days when I could have just like enjoyed a little more of like the casualness of it. Where
Yeah,
now I feel like, okay, when everyone has perfect datacrons, there's only like one or two counters for what's there. Like it literally, there's some things that like great mothers. If you face a great mother, like right now, there's only one counter that I know of. It's JMK with Plocron, because the SOKR counter required the Tachycron. And it's just
oh, the one with crew where you would
yeah,
like,
crew
yeah,
lead.
yep.
Yeah, and I think it does take away some of the magic and the fun of it, of being able to like try different things and to just have fun with it. Because now it's like, okay, let me try the one counter. Thanks, Matt Young, for subscribing.
That young baby.
Yeah. When some people are when you because like right now I'll play and I'll try like okay this is my one counter. Okay, the counter lost. All right, I just lost my grand arena, and that's it. Like that's it. You're done. Pack the bags. It's over. You're just playing for pride at that point to kind of like fluff your
Yeah.
scores up so you're not like so embarrassed. But like that's what I think I kind of lost the little bit of love for it is just like it's all
Well,
so specific.
yeah, like they took like the ability to theory craft and really just like this squad beats this, and
Yeah.
for now it beats this with this cron, and then for now it's before like that's when I say it was the golden age is like when you could do stuff like Rex Visas, and Gamu, and then like just be like the most wild thing, and it would work, and it was just like I feel
Even
like the power creep wasn't at the level it is right now.
even ships like ships they took away like off all the off meta counters. I just I no longer feel like I have the ability to put like the best defense I can and still have options for offense. I feel like you're either going for a stall like hey both of us can't do it, or if someone wants to take the meta ships on offense then they still run the risk of just like losing based on RNG like that coin
Yeah,
flip. So I don't know.
yeah.
I just feel like right now the meta is just like super static and it's just so set that it's just not as fun. And I do kind of miss that level of play where I could where it's just more not really casual, but it's varying and you could try fun things and you can do different things and
Yeah.
it just has more for it.
Yeah, I think once I get kind of through Chromium, I'm
Mhm.
gonna stop seeing like the fun stuff. Like this one I had this last week was just like the most throwaway defense I've ever seen. So we're
Some
doing a bunch of goofy stuff.
Sometimes you do see people like that still. Like I'm sure you'll face someone who has like a ship's defense and they'll have like complete garbage on on offense like or on defense.
Yeah.
And then you'll yeah, of course you'll get like crash on their Leviathan or whatever else they're punishing one executor, but you'll still get to at least like dominate their ground. But and that's what I did like to my opponents for a very long time. But now I like my count's kind of grown to where I could have a little more balance in it. But yeah, like not even a relic 3 Gamorrean guard, relic 2. Look at that.
But that's because he's required now for Jabba, right?
Yeah, relic 3.
Relic 3. Yes, that's I was a fan before all that.
So when my question to you is, when are you gonna farm Jabba? Like when
So
are you
that's
gonna
coming.
accept
Check out
our
check out my mob enforcer there.
yeah relic 8?
She got a new look. I had to take care of her.
Yeah, the funny thing was her arm. Like when she was first created, this arm was like super bent right here. Like it was like really squished. So they had like everyone. It was like this huge meme of like how badly it was created, and so they came. You can kind of see it from this angle. See how it's like really weird,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it like on this back angle, it was really really bad. So
Yeah.
they fixed it a little bit. So yeah,
I love her new look. She's great.
yeah. Do you know how tired she is though? Have you ever like held something, anything, like an upward
Yeah.
position?
Yeah.
Like she must be so tired.
That's a big gun too, man.
Yeah, yeah. It's these muscles right here. She's got some.
No, I do want to farm up Jabba. He's like high on my desire
Mhm,
list. I just like I'll watch like the bigger accounts play. I watch like Nooch and I watch
mhm.
like Zareth and some of these other guys, and I'm like I hear their Jabba making all this noise.
It's
I'm
funny.
like I
I
love it.
I haven't heard Nooch's account being called big before actually. Like he's same thing. I think his account's like a little bigger than yours actually, like in the 8 millions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know if he has Jabba, but
he does.
I've watched them.
He has Java. He has
Yeah.
a bunch of accounts. But yeah, but his he's a because he restarted not too long ago, and then he just pumps like $100 a week into it, so it's growing really fast. But it's not quite. It's not quite end game or it's like late game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like job. The reason I farmed Java was I needed like Jabba was the first because I was like falling out of Kyber and just because I had like SOKR and Ray and they're while they're good, they're not like a JMK, they're not a Leia, they're not a Jabba. And I was hurting on offense and Jabba was like the first thing I had that could beat like a Leia or a JMK on offense. So and the Smugglers Run
Yeah.
too, like those mods.
Oh, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that event's just nuts. I'm
Mhm.
can't wait for that.
Yeah, because it's about 3 times a month that you get it, and it's 2 free 6 dot mods. Plus, like you get all the mods, and the biggest thing too is the micro attenuators. Because if you farm them, you'll get like maybe like 6 a day or something, if that, just by farming them. But you get 60 for that event. It's insane. So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's look. If you don't mind, look at your mods real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so decent speed on Lord Vader here. Protection. I do like the crit damage triangle. I feel like some people want to put protection here, but he ramps so beautifully, and this just makes him, it just really makes him his damage pop right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at this sexy devil right here. Look at this sexy beast of a mod right there. So 7.15% offense with a protection primary and still 3 hits on speed. I'm guessing the micro are like you've already calibrated this.
I don't know if we've calibrated that one.
Yeah,
Maybe.
well,
I don't.
when you get Java and you get those calibration materials, I would definitely calibrate out this protection and this tenacity. Try to because it's like a 33% that you can hit that speed. Like turn this into
Oh, so
like
yeah. Okay.
yeah, because if you have 5 hits on offense, it's no longer like 25%. It's now like 33.33%. So
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely do that.
yeah, but that's like a prime calibration target. Yeah, these are good mods, decent mods.
I don't have a lot of good mods, but
Yeah, a lot a
these,
lot
these,
of a lot of people go with like a protection primary here for the arrow,
yeah,
and then but I get like a lot of people don't farm their arrow like non-speed primaries, right?
yeah.
It's like a luxury. Is that a crit chance on
Is that
JML? What is that? Yeah.
is that can't be right? Is
Yeah,
that
it's crit
right?
chance, yeah. Crit chance.
Do I not have another set with that?
You have well you
Oh,
have no you do.
oh,
You've crit
okay.
chance and 2 health.
I
Just
think that was
really
must have been all we had when we were doing
yeah.
it.
Yeah, maybe the protection primaries are just
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
because usually you go with like a speed. Usually, like ideal is probably speed with potency. But a lot of people go with like speed
I
with
think we were
health.
going with Max.
Uh-huh.
Is he health or protection? I can't remember.
Protection.
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
were trying to do the JMK counter and just make him as beefy as possible.
Yeah, because you're like thresholds that I look for as far as JML. I aim for like 550 speed, over 150k protection, and then as close to 100% potency as you can. Because when you're going against like Lord, why 550 speed is unless the mods are, and a lot of times if you can outspeed like the JMK or the Lord Vader, that's like a much smoother battle than if you can't. Because if you can efflux ability block everyone right off the bat and then start going, that is a much different battle than if Lord Vader goes first, he does his crush, that frenzy goes on Maul does his jazz hands right, and then Lord Vader has like half ult already starting, and
Yeah.
it's just much smoother if you can outspeed him, go first, ability block everyone. Maul doesn't get any jazz hands, Lord Vader just does a basic, and then you can start taking out the sides. It's very hard to stop Lord Vader or Maul because he has like that 2-turn stealth, but you can at least like take out the tank, then take out Maul. Lord Vader may get like one ult. After his ult falls, like he just dies, and that's like a
Right.
much smoother battle if
Yeah.
JML
Also
just goes
revisiting
first.
his mods, I think we don't have the resources right
Yeah.
now in mods, and it's just sort of like, well, this is the best we can do.
Yeah, like this is a fantastic mod, amazing mod for anyone other than JML. Like the offense is good, but he needs like a lot of people ignore the square and the diamond, but together they could equal easily up to like 20, even 26% protection by having these two have like 10 to 13% protection each. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then like yeah, I get like you did with what you had, right? And I've had characters like that too, where you're like, this is what I got. This is the, piecing together whatever it is that it's available. This is the best I could do, which is fine. You got to do what you got to do. Yeah. So yeah, decent speeds overall. 345 on cat. What do you use your cat for? What is
She usually hangs out with Padme, and
okay?
I run her with Padme right now.
Okay, so that if you have the speeds right, that's still like a JMK counter, right? Like with Cat,
Mm-hmm.
Padme, C3PO, I think Jedi Knight Anakin and General Kenobi, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't practiced that one, so I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I was same thing. I had Cat for a very long time at like gear 8 or something for just because I didn't have JMK and I didn't have Padme built up either. So anyone who looked at my account was like, they saw Gas, they saw Cat, they saw, Maul, they saw all these like conquest characters just sitting down there, and they're like,
Yeah.
what are you doing? Like, why aren't you? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't have a home for her. Because once I was building JMK, I got her up, and then I put her with the dash team, and that got me some holds because my dash is actually like pretty quick, and then with all his extra offense and everything, he just like went and kind of like deleted people.
Yeah, I
Like,
got it's like so a character I got. Dooku. I got like a Relic 8 Dooku. I do not have a home for this guy. I have no
yeah,
idea. He like goes with like a newt team, I think. I
you
don't
don't
know. Like
you don't
he's
put him with your Lord Vader. He can go in
I
there,
guess I
right?
could. I guess I could. He could fit there. I think we
Yeah,
got him with like a Seppi team though.
yeah. His separatists are still good because you don't have Trench, right? He's
No.
not even on your bench. He's just
Bench the trench.
yeah.
They came in when I wasn't even playing this game. They're
Uh-huh.
like, yo, you got to bench the trench. I'm like, what are you
Yeah.
guys talking about?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it's all the story now in Grand Arena. Bench the trench.
I'll tell you this: your separatists are like primed for trench. You got the whole team with their zetas and everything. All you need is like that trench, and because it's
Yeah.
a decent. I think a lot of people don't, just like Lord Vader. They don't respect trench, but he's a good back wall defense. Like he's the kind of guy where if you don't have something ready for him, then he's gonna hold. Like it's a strong team, especially if you have the actual like Watt, Newt, Django, Count Dooku with trench in there and some decent mods on the team. It's like they do the job.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm improving Groundland, so eventually I'll get him with
Yeah,
trench.
so I know you can do Malgus with Lord or JML, right? Like you go with Jedi Knight Luke lead with JML.
I think so.
Yeah. So because I did all the proving grounds with
Oh yeah.
SOKR.
Yep. That's you're right about that. I
Yeah.
had to look that one up. I do remember that now.
Yeah. So what's your opinion on Lightspeed bundles? Are you are
Oh, so I
you
love them. I love them.
are you
I
are, are
I
you are you a connoisseur? Are you gonna to like when the SOKR ones and Ray ones and all that comes
yeah.
up, you're gonna
So yeah,
partake?
my community, they're so generous. They usually buy them for me. But I bought two. I bought the Night Sister one myself, and I bought the there's another like the Bounty Hunter one, the
Uh-huh.
Chewy one. I
Yeah.
bought both of those myself. Yeah, they're awesome. The one thing I will say is like when you do a lot of them, because I've done a lot of them. I've done
Yeah.
4 or 5 since coming back to the game. You do a lot of them. A lot of those like Zetas are like that's the gap. That's like what you get bottlenecked on. It's like, oh, like I got all these guys, but they're like crappy versions of the characters because they're missing the Zetas.
Yeah, I get it. So I will say that there's some things that are missing here that could easily give you some more power. Like I mean like end game viability power, and that's Treya and Savage right here. Like
Yeah,
these are
I'm gonna do the Amis. Yeah, those are I'm gonna finish bailing off, and those are the
hmm
next two.
yeah, because
And who do they count? They're a GL counter, right?
they
Like
counter JML. They can beat
JML.
JMLs. Yeah. So I use Darth Vader with Treya, Nihilus, Savage, and Talon, and they also beat Gungans. So if you go like Savage lead, even at Gear 12, like Gear 12 Trey, Gear 12 Nihilus, I went against like Relic 8, like ridiculous Datacron. Like they bodied my JML because it was the good level 6 support cron. And I was like, I'm just gonna overkill this with JML. I brought in JML, one shot the team. Like just I mean literally just everyone died. And then I was like, okay, well, I lost. I was like, I just lose. But no big deal. I was like, might as well just take my Gear 12 Trey Nihilus. They're
Yeah,
just gonna get one shot with Savage lead, and they beat it. They beat the team. So
that's
yeah,
crazy. Okay, well now you've just hard sold me on it because it's like one of those things. It's like, and Savage is not going to take. He's so old.
he's so
He's
cheap.
gonna
He's
he's
so
gonna be cheap.
amazingly cheap. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would recommend at least relics on Savage because if you even if you you don't even have to mod him. You can mod him cheaply. Give him a crit damage triangle with protection primaries here. That have speed, not accuracy, speed arrow. Like,
This guy hasn't been
yeah,
touched
yeah. No, I
in
get it.
years.
Yeah. So all these go in the dumpster, right? So once you sell all these, give
Yeah.
them like protection primaries here, and then you can give him a crit damage triangle with the speed primary, and that'll give him a lot of survivability for really cheap because his kit gives him tons of turn meter. So whenever he's getting crit, he's getting turn meter. So he doesn't need like crazy speed. And if you want to go cheap because you have so many characters that need 6 dot mods, you just go with protection primaries here because that if you go with like health primaries, it's only 5%, and his health and protection are pretty even, and that also helps make him more survivable against the health percent damage stuff too. So if his protection's like way heavy, so that would be the cheap way to mod him. And a lot of people don't do crit damage triangles on him, which I think is a mistake because he hits so amazingly hard. Like especially with like under Treya, with that Omicron, like he just absolutely does amazing damage. Or you can, if you take him to Relic 5, he can solo like CLS teams or Dash Hanshui or the full 5 stack CLS team. He can like solo.
So you
So
don't even need Treya. And who's the third in that team? Is it
Nihilus.
Nihilus?
So in
Yeah.
in against JML for threes, I go Darth Treya lead, Savage, Darth Vader.
Okay.
So, and the reason I do that is because Darth Vader can help kill the sides. Because you'll usually have like a Jedi Knight Luke and Hoda or something. Like Darth Vader can pull Hoda out of stealth. He also like will help just kill them just with his basics. He could just like delete them. And once it's JML against like Treya, Savage, Darth Vader, and that's why I mod Savage for damage is because like Savage is the tank. He's gonna survive no matter what. Even at Gear 12 with bad mods, like JML is gonna have a really hard time chewing through them. So, but Darth Vader and Savage together can chunk out JML fast enough to kill him.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at this pro advice coming in here. I love it.
Yeah, and then I do like your Sith Empire. So Sith Empire I think is the most flexible, Sith in general, but Sith Empire most flexible offensive thing. So once you get Malgus, this team is so good, and every single one except for what's this useless robot. Everyone except for HK47 has a home. Because if you have like Malgus, Malik, Revan, you can use like Sith Marauder, Sith Assassin with Malgus, and that's a whole team that can take out a lot. Like Malik can solo Seer teams with Malikos, so like Seer crew Malikos he can solo, and then you can take like Revan with Basilisk Sean Fallen with anyone else. Not Set. Usually Set goes with I usually take him with Bane. Darth Bane, and then Set's my second guy there. But you can use these two. You could even use HK47 or just like gap them or something or use 3. But super flexible. And when I was trying to punch up, like this team was really key because the Revan's kits, even though they're so old, they really are timeless. And a lot of times when like Datacrons and new kits and all this stuff, and it's like, what are you gonna do? Jedi Knight Revan, Darth Revan, even though they're really old, still have like really strong kits that can chew through like all these new characters and new Datacrons and everything, especially Revan with his death mark. So really
Okay.
strong. I'm sure but like yeah. So what's your like overall? what's your goal here? Like, what's your obviously make content, have fun, but what's your account goals? Like,
I gotta
what do
fix
you
ships.
want?
My goal is to get Leviathan. Is
You're,
like that's a huge problem for me. Right, I
mhm.
can't get ship crystal income. I can't even break into the top 50 right now. So that's my goal right now.
Okay, yeah, it sucks because there used to be options, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
even I'll say this: I do beat Leviathans, good Leviathans, with a standard, even like lower relics executor, but it's not as
Yeah,
reliable.
yeah,
And even the good
yeah.
ones, like I only do it in TW because every other game mode, like my executors on defense with my Leviathan, and on in fleet arena, I use Leviathan mirrors, but profundities can beat leviathans really, especially if you use the Mark 6. So profundity with Mark 6 dunks on all the strong leviathans as well. Executor with punishing one also beats leviathans. It's not like soup. Sometimes you just like lose, but if you can, a lot of times they can just like chew through this bomber, and at that point the fleet's wide open and you just like kill them. And even if you
Yeah.
lose your capital ship, by the time you've like wiped out the team, it's just like a cleanup. And with all the multi attacks with the punishing one, it can do the job as well. And mine's only like a 4-star, and my relics are like relic 3 on Bam and relic 5 on Cad Bane. So I'm sure those that have like much higher relics or relic 9 on executor can also do it more reliably. Like the Chimera executrix counters are dead, right? There's nothing we can do about that. But yeah, but if I would say honestly, for your account, I would skip Leviathan for right now, focus on Jabba, and then go for the new hotness in 2025, which should be coming out soon. And I think you'd be much better off than trying to go for Leviathan, because that's going to
Yeah.
be like an off. Because I think the newest ship's probably going to be like a tier above, similar, but you're going to want that newest ship. And a lot of the Leviathan players are probably going to skip it because it's going to be like comparable. So you'll probably be like, have that slight advantage in your fleet arena.
All
So
right. All right. So Java and then whatever the new hotness is for
yeah.
ships.
And then as in the good thing about the Leviathan is you can continue to like side farm the ships, proving grounds Malgris, and then if for some reason they keep slow rolling whatever new fleet and they just give us like a lifter profundity or something, and then just some random ship to lift like maybe malevolence or something, and they just don't come at it, like by the time you're ready and you're like, okay, well I'm just going to go all in on Leviathan, you can also do that. But
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think
That
you have,
makes sense.
yeah, so I think still slow farm because you're gonna want both, right? Like if I was gonna like if I inherited your account and I was gonna take it over immediately, I would farm like Jabba. I would probably start side farming those Poncho Bros. Once Jabba was finished, wait to see what that 2025 fleet is, get that. And if by the time that 2025 fleet isn't here and you were ready for Leviathan, I would just push for Leviathan and then immediately still go for that 2025 fleet just to assert like that fleet dominance in Grand Arena.
Yeah. And that's like my biggest fear is getting to a point where, all right, guys, we did great on the ground, but then we're stuck at fleet and we
Yeah.
can't full clear.
Well, the good thing for you is that's everyone right now.
Yeah.
So we're all losing in the fleets right now because that's just the meta. There's not very difficult. It's just multi shots and really even my like I have everything, but I'm missing one piece and that's the Marauder, and I think that's a pretty big deal because like I don't know, like there's no honestly like reliable counter for Leviathan right now. Even mirrors are just like there's just a chance, a pretty good sizable chance that you will lose no matter what you bring. So
Right.
yeah,
Well,
that's
thank
just the
you.
meta. But that's what I
Thank
would
you.
do for your account honestly if I inherited it. But it's like it's a good account. I much better starting position than when I came back. Look at my, I think I had like Jedi Knight Revan and Grandmaster Yoda or something.
And you put no money in or very little
No,
money?
I did because I heard you talk about this before, but I used to only do the Pass Plus. And the reason I did that was it was just too insane of a deal not to unlock the conquest characters at double the rate. right? And
Right.
that's how I got Leviathan so quick, was I was saving literally all my crystals. So I didn't do any refreshes other than things that I needed for Leviathan, like farming the ships. At the time, I was doing conquest for the TIE Interceptor, or not the what do you call it, Malgus' ship? I think it's I forget the name, Sith Interceptors. There's Interceptor in there somewhere. So I was farming that, and then I was putting all my crystals into farming Malgus, and it took me 3 months with the Pass Plus, and then I would do the double refreshes. So it was like 8,800 crystals a month, and that got me the Leviathan ship like 3 months after its release. So,
That's awesome.
but it more than paid off in itself. And I always call like the fleets an investment, because if you can get top 5, then you're going to get your payback no matter what you put to unlock it. So,
Yeah. I
but
just think for players coming back and they're like, out of the fleet meta, and then
yeah.
there's they got maybe they like negotiator was the best thing I had coming back, and
Hmm.
it's like okay, we can get one thing, and then maybe that'll work on some stuff, but then like when squad arena payouts not really a thing anymore, and payouts all happen through GAC, it's just like, well, you got to turn to fleet, and then it's like, oh man, like my fleets are garbage, and I
Yeah.
can't even get into the top 50 now. Like, okay, so
Yeah.
that's the toughest thing that I've been dealing with coming back.
Yeah. I had the same thing, but I think because your fleet shard is a completely different fleet, because those players who played at like close to launch, those are like ride or die players. Like they're
Yeah,
so active. Like even though it's been so long, those players are like this. Those players will play this game until it like gets deleted, right? So my shard was like 2018 for some reason, a buttload of Russians, and
yeah,
like a mix of like Russian and American players, but not as like crazy active. But same thing, when I came back, I like looked at my fleet shard, and I was like, these guys are massive, like just ridiculous accounts. At the time, it was just Executor and Profunities, and they're all like 7 stars. And I was
hmm,
like, okay, well, the only thing I can do is like I could like avoid it, or I could just lean into it. And I was like, I'm just gonna lean into it. And then they announced Leviathan, and they're like, this is gonna be a tier above everything that's been out right now. And I was like, okay, here's my chance to kind of like, it doesn't,
catch up.
yeah, because the fleet
Yeah,
arena, it's just one fleet. It doesn't matter if
yeah,
you have 6 million GP, or you're 15 million GP. Like your that one fleet is all you have in there, and that's like the equalizing. And so a lot of return players are like, should I restart? And I always say, unless you're like just hit level 85, because that's like a month gameplay. But if you have like relics, you have foundation, you have like good starts towards assault battles, probably best just to like lean into it, farm what you can, and then whenever the new ship comes out, farm the latest and the greatest, and then you're on equal ground for everyone else.
yeah. I mean, I think the one thing. Okay, so like I had that same debate in my mind. Like, should I restart?
Hmm.
And I was like pretty much decided I was just going to start a new account,
Oh, really?
and then I was gonna make new account content.
Hmm.
And then people were like, "No,
Yeah.
you you've already done those farms. Like, why would you want to do those farms again?" And I'm like, "Well, I can make new player content." And then I'm so glad I didn't restart, because Lightspeed bundles make it so.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll never have the mods that some of these like, elite
Hmm.
accounts have. You'll never have that, but the Lightspeed bundles makes it so much easier. Like that stuff never existed when I played before, and now that it exists, and like I get the entire Night Sister team minus Marin, and
Yeah.
then the moms and what Elsbeth, then yeah, it's fine. It's good. That's all feel good stuff. So
Yeah, because you could play for like a year and be at like 6 million GP with light speed bundles this last year. Like if you look at players that started a year ago, bought every light speed bundle, they're around like 6 million GP. Um, but you have 2 GLs, like you have a ton of foundational stuff here. You have the second most expensive GL. You have JML at R9. Like that's a luxury that a lot of new players can't afford right now, because of how
mhm.
many R9s are required nowadays. Like before, just a few months ago, it was like four, like two for Leviathan and the Profundity, and then it was like, okay, JML was the fourth one, and now it's like there's so many R9 things out there with like assault battles, GL Ahsoka. like now you also want Leia R9 if you can afford it. So I think it would be insane to give up an account that has Cat, Lord Vader, JML. You got Balin Skull right away, which would not be possible with like a brand new account. You're doing the Proving Grounds. Like this is a
Hmm.
strong foundational account. Plus, like you still have all your old meme counters, which you would lose,
Yeah.
right? Like Major
And that was
Tom.
yeah. Everybody was like, "Well, does it really mean anything if it's not like I like X offered to give
Mhm.
me an account?" And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, I'm all about it. Give me everything." And they're like, my community's like, just like, "No, we're not going to know. That's just too big for you, man. You don't know any of
yeah,
these characters." And I'm like, you know what? And then as I've been playing since I come back, and it's like, like gating myself with access to all this stuff, and like, okay, now I'm gonna go get Jabba, and I'm gonna learn, Bausch's kit. I'm gonna learn,
yeah,
all the requirements. Like it's sort of a way of also easing me back into the game. We talked about like
hmm,
datacrons and like stepping into that, and like it's just an easy way of easing back into things and having the
yeah,
familiar stuff that I
hmm,
already know.
yeah. Because I did do a free to play account for like a month or two just to play through the 1 to 85, so I can make a free to play farming guide. And it is amazingly quick. It's like 1 month, you're level 85. But if you ever get to that point, I feel like you could just create a second account. I don't feel like there's any, but that's like a ton of work. I don't know if you would have the bandwidth because
Yeah,
it's like, because I tried it and I could not manage it. Just the way I realized that my schedule is like as an adult with a job and a family and a life, it's like I realized that I was playing this game in those 5 minute breaks whenever I get a chance and try to play two games in that 5 minute
yeah,
and switching accounts. I was like, it's not feasible, and it's
yeah.
just like not tenable for the long run. So I don't think I'll ever have two accounts like some people
Yeah,
do.
who was I? Was like, who's it? Watching like Celiac, Sarah, and Eric Zareth and
Hmm.
their show, and he sort of talked about, well, I think the reason that burned you out is because you were running multiple accounts, and I was
Yeah,
just like, oh, these guys are like, they are diehard, content creators. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to burn out immediately after coming back. I'm
yeah,
like,
because
let's just do our thing.
yeah, I totally get it because I'm like I would love to have a second account. I really would. Like I would love to play the free to play to because there's a lot of I think there's a lot of great content in that. Like amazing content to show players like, hey, here's the minimums that you need to reach these. Here's the guide. Here's realistic modding and everything like that. But I just I can't do it. It's not it's not in my maybe
Yeah,
when I retire in a few years and I'm you know, like fully retired, then maybe. But right
yeah,
now, there's no way.
yeah. I understand.
Yeah, but good account. I do. I will say I really do love your intros and your interludes and everything. Your commercials. I
Well,
think
I
honestly
appreciate that.
the best part. I really like your. The commercials crack me, especially the first time you see it. You're just like, that's hilarious. Like I usually
Yeah,
I'm, when you're watching something in your room, you're just like staring at it, But then
yeah.
it's like you actually had me like laughing by myself,
Oh,
like a
that's very
madman,
kind.
which is
Yeah.
like the best I could usually get is like maybe a smile and a puff out the nose, like you know but like that had me going sometimes. So
Yeah.
I do
I
enjoy the content, so I'm excited
Well, thank you.
as a
Thank you.
viewer, excited that you're back and you're with your unique take on content creation
Yeah.
because
It's I'll never be as good as I once was in the game, but it's just like that. Let's not let that be a barrier. Let's just still have fun.
yeah, I'll say this. Like, I felt the same way when I was creating content. I was like, no one cares about, like where I am in the game and low kyber or whatever.
Right.
But I think a lot of people have their own unique take on content creation, and especially with like, people are there to just hang out with you and enjoy your take on content creation. And even this game is honestly really hard to create content on. Like, it really is a difficult game to be a content creator for because if it was as probably playing with a variety, you can go out and you can you know clean slime or click foreheads on, and that's like content in itself. But this game is
Yeah.
like so static. There's so many things you can do. There's you're literally limited on time and time gated on what we can do. So it's just a very difficult game to like create content. But I feel like you do a really great job at it.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. And I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure. So, yeah, I look forward to seeing what you do with your account and how it grows, and hopefully your knowledge grows with it. Because
Yeah.
that's the hard part, right? As you go through,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine as a return player, um, kind of like how this game has evolved. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure you remember Jedi Knight Revan, and you're like,
Oh,
what
that
is?
was the first time
Yeah.
I was like, this is ridiculous. And then I like had to read Balin's kit like 5 times, and I still don't understand it. I'm like,
Yeah, these things are ridiculous. So I what I usually do is I like go in, lose, and then I'm like, okay, why'd I lose? You know? Like,
why
okay,
did that
this
happen?
yeah. So there's so many things. Even to this day, I'll like take in some counters and I'll be like and I'll learn something from it because like something will happen. I'll be like, why did that happen? And someone's like, well, in this small little paragraph right here and an adjacent character that's not even that one, like that's why this
Change days. He got days. Sorry.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so even learning all the like Gungans, I
Yeah.
still don't know what they do. Like I didn't farm Gungans. I don't have I know what counters Gungans, but like they put some red thing on my team and I'm like, okay, that's going to do some things for a little while. I know I can't like instant kill anyone if they have the generator and Jar Jar out and just stuff like that. But yeah, like these kits are ridiculous. And usually what I do is when I get the character, I understand, okay, this is how I beat it, like practical knowledge, like this is what I need to do to beat it. And then when I get them, that's when I start like, okay, this is
The
what they do.
nuances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot different when you're like using them, when you're just like, hey, this is how you counter them.
Yeah.
So yeah, but excited to see your content. So yeah,
Thank you.
any last words before we close this out?
Well, I'm starting a podcast very soon. It's
Hmm.
called Love on the Holotables, and I'd love to have you on that at some point
Yeah,
as a
absolutely.
guest. All right.
Absolutely. Let me know. I'm in Japan, so a little flexible on the, but I can definitely find some time to make your podcast. Just let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And yeah, I just appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an absolute pleasure. So, thanks. Even though I'm a smaller content creator, small
Oh
fish
no,
in
no.
this small pond
W-
of Star Wars, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no. We all start somewhere, so it's all
yeah.
good.
So I definitely appreciate you coming on. Any last words to anyone before we close this out?
Just enjoy the holotables,
Yeah.
everybody. It's pretty great.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching and take care.